Let me tell you this, the way folks pass stories around at kitchen tables and front porches, not like a speech, but like a memory that still feels raw. It was a crisp fall morning in Virginia, sunlight slipping through rows of old maples and landing on neat white headstones. Everyone had come to bury Darius Monroe, a 26-year-old Army specialist who died overseas. His mom was clutching his picture, his dad trying to hold her up, his sister whispering prayers through trembling lips. Even the air felt reverent, the bugle low and slow like a heartbeat. But underneath that stillness was this knot of dread, a sense that even here, even at Arlington, something ugly could break through. And sure enough, it did. A police cruiser rolled up, hard tires screeching against the stone road. Out stepped a man everybody in the county knew by reputation. Sergeant Hank Miller, square-jawed, smug, that heavy walk of somebody who'd never been checked. He didn't even take his sunglasses off when he barked, "Stop this funeral. This soldier doesn't deserve to be buried here." For a second, nobody moved. You could hear wind through the leaves, the flag over the coffin fluttering. Then Darius's mom's knees buckled. "He died for this country," she cried, voice cracking like glass. Phones came out fast, hands shaking but steady, tiny red lights blinking. The live stream started right then. Miller strutted closer, voice louder. "Now, cheap blood has no place among heroes." He reached down, grabbed the folded flag off the coffin, and yanked. That sound cloth tearing was like a gunshot. People gasped, some screamed. One old vet muttered, "You've got no right," but Miller just smirked. You could feel the whole crowd shift. Old men with canes, young soldiers still in uniform, kids who'd never been to a funeral this heavy. Everybody realized this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a man trying to erase someone's honor right in front of their family. A young guy with a phone live streaming whispered, "The whole world's gonna see this," and you could already see the viewer count climbing in the corner of his screen. Someone else hissed, "He's destroying evidence," when Miller stomped on another phone. But by then it didn't matter. Dozens of angles, dozens of lives feeds all catching him in the act. Meanwhile, the vets who'd come to pay respects moved as one. They lined up shoulder to shoulder in front of the casket. One of them, gray hair still built like a tank, stepped forward and said, "He fell for this country. You're trampling on it." The crowd roared, the chant rolled out from the back rows, "Defend military honor." Even a white officer who'd been standing off to the side, Captain Ray Collins, finally cracked. He'd been hesitating, eyes down, but now he stepped forward and said loud enough for the cameras, "Enough. You have no authority to stop this funeral." His voice hit the air like a hammer. That was the pivot. You could see Miller's jaw tighten, his hand flex on his baton. He shouted back, "Who dares defy me?" But nobody backed up. The chant only got louder, phones lifted higher, cameras blinking like stars in daylight. Then it happened. Miller's belt started buzzing, shrill ringtone cutting through the chants. The whole cemetery went dead quiet. Every lens, every eye locked on that tiny phone vibrating at his side. He grabbed it, pressed to his ear, voice trembling, just a little. "Who is this?" And a deep voice came back, steady, unmistakable. "This is the president. I swear you could feel the earth shift under your feet." The crowd erupted, screams, sobs, applause, all at once. Veterans snapped to attention. Darius's father lifted his head and whispered, "God, justice has come." The president's voice rolled through the live broadcast like thunder. "You are dishonoring the national flag. You are a criminal before the people." No courtroom, no gavel, just a verdict heard in living rooms, college dorms, truck cabs, bars. Miller's face drained, white sweat running down his temple. The smirk he'd been wearing like armor just dissolved. He stammered, "I was just doing my job." But it came out brittle, hollow, like a balloon popping. The chants roared back, "Get out of here. Respect the flag. Justice for Darius." People who'd never met each other were shouting in unison. The vets stood firm, eyes like steel, while Captain Collins stared him down. Across the country, hashtags spiked anchors on TV, barely holding back tears. A mom in California hugged her kid and whispered, "He died for this country. Why can't they let him rest?" A veteran in Chicago slammed his hand on the table. "This is a national disgrace." Marches formed in real time. Signs went up, "Justice for the soldier. Respect the flag." Back at the cemetery, the weight shifted. Miller's shoulders sagged, his grip on the baton loosened. For the first time, he looked small, not a man in charge, just a man cornered by truth. The vets redraped the flag over the coffin. The honor guard resumed their slow march. Darius's sister stepped up, tears streaking her cheeks, but her voice steady. My brother deserves to rest in peace, and now the whole country sees why we had to scream. The funeral continued under a sky so quiet you could hear the bugle echo off the stones. But it wasn't the same funeral anymore. It had turned into a reckoning, a line in the sand. And here's the thing: that day didn't end neatly. People are still arguing online about whether the president should have called directly, whether Miller was just a bad apple or a symptom of something deeper, whether Arlington can ever feel sacred again. But no one argues about what happened in those minutes. Everyone saw it, everyone felt it: the rip of a flag, the rise of a crowd, the crack in a man's arrogance, and the sound of a voice from the highest office saying enough. That's why I'm telling you this like a story from a neighbor, not a headline. Because it's not just about Darius Monroe. It's about every time someone tried to bury the truth along with the person. It's about the moment a family's grief became a nation's outrage, and about the quiet courage of people who finally stood up shoulder to shoulder and said no. So now it's your turn. If you were standing there that day with your phone in your hand, what would you have done? Filmed, intervened, shouted, stayed silent? And bigger than that, do you think a uniform or a badge should ever decide who gets dignity at the end? Drop your thoughts in the comments, where you're from, what you've seen, because stories like this only stay alive if we talk about them, argue about them, and push for a country where nobody's honor gets torn off a coffin ever again.